I hope this dude hates his life and how he has to like constantly lie about the United States and how they support the Israeli government and lie for the Israeli government. Um, whatever this dude's name is, he just seems like an utter POS.
So much, Karine. Hi, John. One about Gaza and another one about Ukraine. On Gaza, what makes the president confident that ceasefire can be reached in a week? Any breakthroughs that made him confident about that? And any comment about the number of civilians dead in Gaza reaching 30,000? How many more will have to die until the U.S. agree with permanent ceasefire?
We don't want to see one more die, which is why this pause we're working on is so important.
Okay, the United States doesn't want to see one more Palestinian civilian die. Okay, then just stop funding the Israeli government with money and arms, and we will easily see a change in the number of civilians being killed by the Israeli government, especially when they stop having money and start running out of arms to do their genocide, because it's American weapons that the Israeli government is using to commit their genocide.
The president was reflecting updates that he'd been getting from the national security team about the progress of those talks. We're hopeful. And as I said earlier, cautiously optimistic that we can get there and hopefully in short order.
Does this guy kinda sound like Owen Wilson if Owen Wilson was a politician and a POS?
But it's been a lot of diplomatic work, a lot of negotiations to try to get us to this point, and we're not there yet. I think that's important to say. The president made that clear too. It's not you don't have a deal till you have a deal.
It's funny how they're pretending to be against the Israeli government and what they're doing when since October 7th, it's been nothing but this dude and Biden and others defending the Israeli government, saying they're just defending themselves against attacks, even though, they're indiscriminately bombing people and killing babies and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be self-defense. And now they're like, oh, we're doing everything we can to stop the Israeli government from committing mass genocide. Like, no, you're not, dudes.
We don't have a deal right now. But as for how many more should die, again, I've said many times before, the right number of civilian casualties is zero. We
Uh,
don't want to see one more person. In
Okay, then why isn't the United States helping the Palestinians get aid? Why isn't the United States dropping in support for the Palestinian people? Why isn't the United States sending in troops to help protect the Palestinian people? Why isn't the United States actually punishing the Israeli government with sanctions and other things for violating various international laws against the Palestinian people? Okay, can you explain why the United States hasn't done any of this?
innocent person killed in this conflict, which is again why this 6 week or so pause could be so effective in terms of reducing the number of civilian casualties and giving us some breathing space to get more humanitarian assistance in.
Okay, but people aren't looking to just reduce the number of civilians being murdered by the Israeli government. People want it to be zero people killed by the Israeli government. And how are we going to do that? It's always, oh, we're just going to ask the Israeli government to reduce the number of civilians that they can kill, because there is a certain amount of civilians that they can kill, and it's okay with us. How does that make any sense to say that the Israeli government can kill a certain amount of civilians? No, you don't want to adjust a reduction in civilians killed. You want it to be zero. The United States could do that.
And potentially talk about an end to the conflict.
Another one on Ukraine, very quickly, because Senator Schumer described the meeting on Ukraine as the most intense he ever had in the Oval Office. How does the president feel about it after the meeting? Does he believe a deal can be reached? He's more or less optimistic about it.
The president believes that it's important to continue to have these conversations. He believes it's important to make sure that, certainly in the speaker's case, that he makes the case.
I find it wild how Biden is active in getting like funding and arms and protection for the Ukrainian people against the Russian invasion and genocide by Putin and the Russian government. But Biden isn't as quick to fight for funding and arms for the Palestinian people who are being invaded and genocided by the Israeli government. Biden is for the Israeli government committing a genocide. Uh, we cannot pretend uh, that Biden is actually for like human rights and against genocide when he actually is against human rights and supports genocide.
For why it's important for this supplemental funding. Obviously, the big purpose of the meeting today, as Karine already let you guys know, was really about preventing a government shutdown. But clearly, they had the opportunity to talk about the national security supplemental.